Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Awakening. I am your host, Caleb Leo, and I'm super delighted to be with you one more time. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and also share this very post to your friends out there. Now, on this very episode of The Awakening, we're going to be discussing overcoming identity crisis. Overcoming identity crisis. Now, identity crisis is a period of uncertainty and confusion in which a person's sense of identity becomes insecure. So it's a season when someone feels insecure about himself, about life, typically due to change in their expected aims or role in society. One of the root causes of identity crisis is when your expectations are not being met, when you don't properly define yourself as well. Most of us will define ourselves based on what we own, based on our clothes, how we look, how fashionable we look. Sometimes people are defined based on what they are going through, their circumstances. Now, all these definitions of who you are, of your self-worth, of your person could cause identity crisis. Most times when we are heartbroken, when we fail attacks, people get frustrated and then they confuse themselves. They fail, they get confused and become uncertain about who they are and what they represent. Now, we're going to be looking at few examples from the Bible of men who had identity crisis issues. Now, number one of them was Moses. When God called him in the mountain by the burning bush, God told him, Moses, come go to Egypt and set my people free. The Bible said he asked God, he said, who am I that I should go and set people free? He had a challenge with his personality. He couldn't believe in himself. Even when God kept insisting, he said, I'm a stammerer, I can't speak well. So he had issues with his very self. He didn't believe in his personality. And that was a challenge that God had to deal with. Now, the second person in the scriptures that had identity crisis was Gideon. When an angel appeared before him and called him, "Oh Gideon, thou mighty man of valor." Gideon said, who am I that I will go and rescue the people of Israel? I am from a poor home. My family is least in Israel. He devalued himself. He had a challenge with his value. He believed he didn't work much. He believed he wasn't what he thought, obviously. So he thought, I'm not supposed to be the one. There must be someone else better than me. So he never had value. He didn't believe in his value, in his worth. Now, the next person in the scripture that had identity crisis was Jeremiah. When God appeared to him, he said, I am just a child. I can't even talk. He had a challenge with his experience. He felt he needed more experience to go out there and do something great with his life. He felt he needed to know much more. But God said, don't call yourself a child. I am the one who has called you. Before you were born, I have already ordained you a prophet. Now, the fourth person we will look at that had identity crisis issue was Paul. Oh yes, Paul the apostle, the almighty apostle Paul, formerly known as Saul. Now, Apostle Paul, when he was a Jew, a devout Jew, and he went about persecuting Christians. And then one day Jesus appears to him on his way to Damascus, and he calls him, Saul, Saul, why art thou persecuting me? And then Saul said, who art thou, Lord? Saul had a challenge with confusion. He was confused in life. He was a young man thinking he was going the right way. Suddenly he felt, no, I've been going the wrong way all along. So he had issues with himself. He was confused. He had confusion issues. And then the next person in the scripture that we're going to consider is Simon. Oh yes, Simon. Simon was a prophet, a witch, I will use the word a magician rather, in Samaria. When Philip came to preach the gospel, Simon was among those that gave his life to Christ. And then when the apostles came and were laying hands on people and they received the Holy Ghost, Simon felt, I can get this. So he asked them, the apostles, let me pay you so you can give me this authority. Now Simon had a challenge. He was frustrated. He was frustrated that Philip had come to take his business away. So he wanted to get the same power Philip had so he can do something and you get his business back. Now I've listed certain things, certain issues this people had: personality, value, lack of experience, confusion, frustration. Now all these things caused them to have identity issues. Now all these five men found a solution in trust. Yes, trust. They were able to trust God to help them become their best. Now, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're frustrated, if you don't believe in yourself. It doesn't matter if you don't have the experience you need. It doesn't matter if you're confused. It doesn't really matter. What is important is the fact that you need to trust. You need to learn to trust God, and you become your best. Now, subsequent episodes, we're going to consider how practical steps to overcome identity crisis, and how to learn to trust God to become your very best. I believe you've been blessed from this very episode. I want to hear from you, so do well to comment down below. Thank you very much.